Ken here, your thrifty apprentice, and welcome back to the channel's version of a crafty corner. Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome in. In today's video, we are going to be creating these very easy, whimsical paper bag pouch pockets. You can create them out of pattern papers, your own custom DIY water-soluble printed pattern paper, or even original artwork that you hand paint with your water-soluble media. Today, we're going to be creating this one on camera, so let's get started. Hey guys, before we get too deep into the video, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that thumbs up to show your appreciation for the channel and the content. Keep in mind that those thumbs up are going to help the channel's algorithm and help the channel grow. Also consider sharing the video. Sharing is caring, and there may be someone else who needs to see this information. To start, you want to choose your paper bag base. Now here I have several different sizes: small, you could choose medium, you can choose a larger bag. You can choose the really big grocery bags if you like and you want to make something that big. Or you can actually take a piece of craft paper, tea dyed paper, or coffee dyed paper and make a paper bag yourself. Lastly, you could use a craft paper gift bag, which is the bag I'm going to be using for this demonstration. So now let's prepare the bag. In order to prepare the bag, you could remove the handles. Simply open it up. I would use a heat gun to heat the adhesive to loosen it in order to remove those. But in my case, I'm going to be leaving it because I want that as an added element on this particular pouch. Now let's glue what we need to. So with a piece of paper down to protect my desk, I'm going to be using my glue stick. This is Elmer's Craft Bun. This is the repositionable stick. It's not the one I wanted. I wanted the super glue, or the super strength stick. And you want to lift the flap and glue, close that down. And now I'm going to take some regular white PVA glue, and you want to glue down that little corner right there where the flap lifts on the inside. Not gluing the panels to each other now, not here, but right on the inside where that little fold is. And then to this side. And now we have the flap glued down, but the bag itself still opens with no problem to insert things into. So next, we're going to want to just start the decoration because that is all the preparation for the pouch that you need. In this case, I'm actually going to be doing an original custom painting. So the video will now move into doing the original custom painting, and then we'll come back and finish constructing the actual pouch. Okay guys, let's get started here. We are going to keep this really quick, really simple, and I am going to try to paint this landscape really loose. I am using a paint set that I haven't used in quite a while. Thought I'd pull it out. This is the Whale Watercolor set. It is actually a really good student grade set. I really consider it more of a bridge set, a step up from a really good student grade, but not quite an introductory professional paint. But it is absolutely amazing. Now, if you happen to get this set, they do crack in the pan, so I would suggest a little glycerin or honey mixed into it. But other than that, I have no qualms. This is definitely one of my recommended set of paints. They are absolutely amazing. Now I'm painting on that B Company B inspired paper that I mentioned in another video. I was trying to go ahead and use up, or maybe it was in one of my blog posts, but either way, I'm trying to use this paper on up because it's not all that great. So I do try to use it in a lot of ephemera making just to go ahead and get through with it. Now, on the palette, I started with a mixture of cobalt and ultramarine. The second wheel has just cobalt. The third wheel has ultramarine at the top and a yellow ochre at the bottom. The fourth wheel has sap green at the top and a mixture of sap green and a little burnt umber just to gray it up and make it a little cooler at the bottom. I started with that mixture of cobalt and ultramarine to paint in the little ocean area. And then I just, used a darker area, or should I say the darker, more saturated color towards the horizon line, and then just brought it on down towards the foreground, blending in ultramarine and cobalt until I got it sort of the way I wanted. Took some of the ultramarine, mixed in a little of the burnt umber in order to gray it up, and then just kind of put those shadows throughout the ocean itself. Next, I decided to go ahead while that was drying and do the little huts or the houses that I have along the beach line. Mind you, let me throw this in there. This painting is an homage and a shout out to Chris Petrie. I do follow a lot of his tutorials, and his painting style has become quite an inspiration that I am trying to kind of, envelop into my style as well. So some of his techniques I have started to try to use just to make my painting better. You know me, I always encourage all artists to watch artists that have been established for a while so that you can pick up on techniques to grow. Now, the idea was to kind of do this painting sort of like rainbowish throughout the month of June, with it being Pride Month. I have sort of leaned in a rainbow color scheme with a lot of things that I was doing, and I figured, hey, I'll just do the same thing here. So I painted one hood red, one is orange, one is yellow, one is green. I used the ocean and the sky itself as the blue. So that's sort of the rainbow scheme there. The top of the houses were painted with blue for the ones farther in the distance, and for the ones closer to us, the red and the orange house, that roof was painted with a mixture of burnt umber, orange, and the permanent red. I believe that's the name of the color. Next, I moved on to painting the figures that are in the painting, which again, I just kind of used the same rainbow color scheme, gave them all different color tops. I made all of their pants or their bottom area sort of grayish black. The hair was made black on each one of them, just to kind of give some uniformity to the entire painting. Now I needed to go in and do the sky, so I'm going to refresh all of my blue washes, the ultramarine and the cobalt by itself. And then, of course, I did mix a little burnt umber at the top of the ultramarine, so I'd have a gray, a darker color to work with. Now, with the sky, I didn't wet the whole sky. I just kind of splashed water around, threw water around, just so I could have more of a loose effect. And then I'm just going in with a flat brush and I'm painting the sky colors in a crisscross motion. So I put the ultramarine and the cobalt towards the top, the grayish tone that was mixed from the burnt umber and ultramarine went towards the very top, brought it down throughout the sky for some clouds. And then, of course, right above the horizon line, I grabbed just a little bit of orange to mix into the sky above the horizon and kind of going up towards the top, just to give a little bit more color diversity and to give the sky a little bit more glow altogether. I took a paper towel and I'm just going to dab out some areas. It'll give us the sense of light coming through the sky. It may give us the sense of maybe a few clouds. So that was me tackling that. I gave that time to dry, or as that was drying, I took my yellow ochre, my burnt umber, and a little sap green, and I'm going to paint in the land beach area here. Now, you can splatter in here to give it more of a sand effect. You can put down the wash a little bit heavier and and sprinkle in salt to give it texture for the sand. In this case, I just kind of brushed it in, make sure that the color kind of dry brushed across the surface, again, because I was trying to keep it really loose. Afterwards, I jumped in to paint in the greenery and foliage that was sort of around the huts. with sap green. I mixed the sap green with a little of the burnt umber, which gave me more of an olivey color for my darker tone. And then I mixed that even more with some cobalt blue, just to blue it down and take the trees further in the background to give them some distance. Afterwards, I'm going to be taking that gray tone to put in my shadows. I'm putting it in under the trees. I'm going to put it in under my figures, put it in under the house. I'm going to use that tone to dot in the windows and the doorways on each of the little huts. And I'm just going to go in and, just clean up my shadows, make sure that they are kind of right. You see, I have the light emblem in the very top left hand of the paper on the tape, so I could always remind myself what direction the light was coming from. I'm going to throw in a few seagulls because you guys know I love birds. Sign it, and of course I'm going to use my black fine line marker in order to create a border to give me a little frame. That way when I remove the tape, the crisp white border will be there, and then a black frame surrounding the picture is going to make it look pretty good. Now here we're going to remove this tape. Remember to pull at an angle or to use a heating tool or your hair dryer to loosen that adhesive and remove the tape. And that brings us to the end of what we did in order to paint our custom focal image. Now let's jump on back into getting ready to turn this into some ephemera. Right here I did go in and throw in some shadows under those roofs. Now that our focal image is complete, and I really enjoyed painting that, mind you, we'll move on with protecting it. Now you can protect if you choose to paint. Now, of course, you guys know there's going to be many different ways that I show you. You can put one of these together so you don't have to paint. But if you choose to paint, afterwards you would want to protect your painting. Of course, you could use a sealant like Krylons, varnish, or you could even use something as economical as a hairspray. No, it's probably not archival, but it will work. In my case, I'm going to do as I normally do and use an lamination pouch. So you would put your image into your lamination pouch and of course cut it down. Now that the lamination is complete, I'm going to trim the extra pouch off all the way up to the end of the paper that I painted on, and also remove the backing. As you can see, we still have the lamination pouch on the front, but it's not on the back. So now this step you won't have to do. Of course, you don't have to do any of the steps. You can always design it however you want. But in this case, I'm going to run this through the machine one more time just to make sure that that is pressed down really, really well. And then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch inside the border just to give it more of an ephemeral look. And now we have our sewing around our edges, so it's really clean. To finish up the focal image, I want to add some wording, like right in the middle of the sky, to push it that much more towards the ephemeral realm. For my wording, I settled on the word create, which I cut with my brother's scan and cut, or you can use a die cut, or you can cut it out by hand. You can use sticker lettering. Whatever you decide to use for your word, you can use. Again, I just use my brother's scan and cut. So I'm going to use some glue to adhere this to the middle of my focal image. And for the back panel, I simply cut a piece of cardstock that I felt matched the color of my water. Then I took a stencil, laid it on, and took my Ranger's Archival ink in coffee and stenciled on a design. Here, we have adhered down our wording to complete our focal image and our front cover. Our back cover is complete. I've inked around the edges of both pieces. And finally, I've settled on what I'm going to use for a closure for my pouch. In this case, I'm going to be using black ribbon. You can use whatever you would like as your closure. You can use elastic, you can use a paper clip, you can use a hidden paper clip. There are many, many different options, but I'm going to be using ribbon. First, I'll flip my bag over on the back, and I'll take the ribbon I'm using as my closure. I want to gauge the middle of the bag and the middle of the ribbon. At that point, I'm going to use a little glue. In this case, a little PVA glue to adhere it down. I'm not going to really worry if glue seeps through to the other side of the ribbon because we will be putting our backing panel on top of that. I put a line so I would know exactly where to place my glue. First glue stick, extra strength, a little PVA glue to back it up. Find the middle of my ribbon, the middle of my bag, and place it down. With my ribbon in place, see I have a little seepage, but that's okay. I'm going to cover my back panel with glue using both glue stick and PVA glue, and then I'm going to take a minute and let it press under something heavy. Now that the back is complete, we can adhere the front. So I'm just going to flip it over, and once again I'll use my glue stick, my PVA glue, I'll glue it down, and I'll press it under something heavy. Now that all of this is put together, I'll simply tie my closure. As you can see, that's how it's going to be closed with that tie. To finish everything up, I'm going to add one little element as pizzazz. I have this really cute little trinket, this little like yellow daisy with a blue center. I put it onto a yellow paper clip simply because I want to bring out the yellow in the house and in the sand a little bit more. And I will place that right here at the top. Do I want it in the middle there? There. I like that better. That is our custom painting DIY pouch. Okay, that brings us to a completion of the creation portion. So for everyone who was here just to see that portion of the video, thank you so very much for stopping by. I look forward to seeing you for the next video, and I hope you have a very happy Sunday. For those who would like to see a closer look at all of the pouches that I created, stay tuned. Now let's take a closer look at all of our pouch pockets. Keeping in mind that they were all constructed from paper bags. The very first one that I did was here. So I started out with using pattern paper. Now this pattern paper that's backing it is actually Createology, the kids company. I picked that pattern paper up from Michael's. It was on sale for like $3 for the entire pad of paper. Really cool. Cut that down to fit the size of the bag. Then on the front, we just use cardstock, different pieces of pattern paper, and a little butterfly ephemera in order to make a tuck. In that tuck, you have little tags. This one was made from one of the offcuts from pattern paper. So that's a journaling tag. And here we have another pattern paper piece that has a sticker ephemera of Saturn on it. Again, another little journaling tag there. And the last little tag on the to comprise the front cover is actually DIY pattern. This is cardstock that I dyed with yellow watercolor, splattered it with magenta watercolor, let it dry. Then I ran it through my printer in order to print a pattern on it, and then cut it into a tag form. And you can still journal on the back. That was what I used to comprise the cover of this one. We'll stick those back in there. And it's all about presentation and layering. So I did want to make sure that all of those tags were different sizes, different widths, different lengths, so that when it layered on the front cover, it would look really nice. Now, I took my hole puncher and I did punch a hole through the front and the back of the bag on the side in order to create the closure for this one. And I simply took some craft yarn and tied it around. Now, the little emblem is just clipped to the craft yarn. So I can unclip that. You would untie the bag. And that would give us access to all of the goodies that would be on the inside of the pouch. You can put ephemera, offcuts of pattern papers, pieces in there. You can put stickers. These are wonderful as gift ideas, but these are meant as standalone journal companions. I'll put that back together. Next one was constructed from DIY water-soluble pattern paper that I created. As you can see here in this folder, I just keep all of the pattern papers that I designed with my water-soluble inks and my watercolors, my watercolor markers, and I typically design them on A4 regular copy paper so that I can then scan them into the computer. After I scan them into the computer, at that point I can print them out on pretty much anything. In this case, I printed it out on sticker sheet, and then I took the sticker sheet and bagged it onto cardstock, which is exactly what we did here. So, laid that down on the front and the back as the backing, sewed around with a zigzag stitch, and then I created a belly band. This is just black mixed media paper, which I cut down and turned it into faux stickers. Faux tickets. That's a ticket strip. I did stencil on top of it, and then I just laid down some butterfly stickers that I had, going from smallest to largest to give it some scale on the front. The closure is simply a heart paper clip that has this very cute little leaf emblem on it. You would remove the closure in order to have access to the inside of the bag, which again is your pouch pocket where you can store all of your goodies. And you would simply reattach your paper clip to close it. Lastly, the one that we made today. This one is my favorite. This one is my favorite because it is genuinely my artwork. You guys saw how it was made, and you would simply untie it, unclip it, and you would have access to the inside of your pouch pocket. I hit the camera there, for all of your ephemera and goodie storage. Now, of course, the size of your pouch pocket is going to depend on what you can and cannot store in it. And there you have it, guys. Hopefully, you learned, saw, heard, or picked up on a tip, trick, or technique that you like and you're going to find helpful in both your art and or junk journaling journey. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Keep it in mind that those thumbs up are going to help the algorithm of the channel. It's going to help push it in front of other audiences, and it's going to help us grow. So don't forget to give that video a thumbs up. Use the comment section. Let me know what you think about the painting. Let me know what you think about the pouch pockets. Is it something that you would try? Give this an idea. Use the comment section. Let me know. Share the video. Remember that sharing is caring, and someone else out there may want to know, need to know, or like to know this information. The video description will have all of the relevant links from the most recommended products to the Thrifty Apprentice sponsored Facebook group, Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers, where we do all things artsy and crafty, and all artists and crafters are welcome. You'll also find a link for the Etsy shop if it suits your fancy to support the channel in any shape, form, or fashion. Thank you guys so very much for joining me this Sunday, and I'll see you next time. Remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep painting and crafting.